Imagine waking up one day and realizing that every emotion you've ever felt, every heartbreak, every rush of pride, every pang of jealousy, wasn't truly yours. What if I told you that most of what you feel is not a product of your soul, but a series of invisible strings, pulled by people who understand the machinery of your mind better than you do? People who know how to provoke you without speaking a word. People who can make you feel anger at their convenience, loyalty at their request, guilt at their command. Think about it. How many times in your life have you reacted before thinking? How many times have you been pushed into a decision, not because you wanted it, but because the pressure of the moment made you believe you had no other choice? You tell yourself you are free, that your emotions are yours to command, but deep down you know sometimes you are a puppet that dances when the right strings are pulled. Niccolo Machiavelli, the man history calls cold, ruthless, and calculating, once hinted at a truth so unsettling that most people spend their lives avoiding it. The most powerful man is not the one who controls armies, but the one who controls emotions, especially his own. Now pause and think. When was the last time you were truly untouchable? When was the last time you faced insult, betrayal, or loss and didn't flinch, didn't crumble, didn't let the invisible hooks of anger or fear sink into your flesh? We live in a world where emotions are currency. Outrage sells news. Desire fuels marketing. Fear builds political empires. The person who controls your emotional state controls you. And yet, here's the paradox. You can't be fully human without emotions. But emotions are also the very thing that makes you vulnerable. Love makes you open your heart, but also gives someone the weapon to break it. Pride makes you fight for your name, but also blinds you to reason. Anger fuels action, but also destroys what you work to build. So here's the great question. The one Machiavelli would whisper in your ear if he could stand beside you now. How do you become emotionally untouchable without becoming dead inside? Because that's the trap. The weak man thinks emotional detachment means coldness, apathy, and isolation. He thinks becoming untouchable means becoming unfeeling. He misunderstands the game entirely. Machiavelli knew better. Emotional untouchability is not about killing your feelings. It's about mastering them so completely that no one else can weaponize them against you. It's about being the calm center in a world of storms. The man whose mind cannot be invaded, whose decisions cannot be hijacked, whose soul remains his own even in chaos. Imagine being that person. Imagine standing in a room where others are panicking, and you are still. Imagine hearing insults that were meant to wound, yet feeling nothing but quiet amusement. Imagine negotiating with someone who's trying to manipulate you, yet seeing every move they make as if they're reading from a script you've memorized. Wouldn't that make you dangerous? Wouldn't that make you impossible to control? And here's the truth most people can't handle. You are not born emotionally untouchable. You are trained into it, either by life's cruelty or by conscious discipline. But most people never learn. They spend their entire existence reacting, overreacting, drowning in feelings they never chose to feel. Society thrives on this. Thinkers like Aldous Huxley warned us, keep people reactive, keep them emotionally unstable, and you can feed them any illusion you want. They'll never even question it because they're too busy fighting shadows in their minds. So let me ask you again, do you own your emotions or do they own you? And if someone wanted to break you, could they do it with just a few words, a silent glance, a carefully timed insult? If the answer is yes, then you are living at the mercy of others' designs. But here's the good news. The skill of emotional untouchability can be learned. It's a form of quiet warfare, a defense so subtle it doesn't look like defense at all. And when mastered, it is the one shield that makes you nearly impossible to defeat. The only question is, are you willing to strip away the illusions you've been taught about what it means to feel and face the raw, uncomfortable truth of how your emotions are being controlled right now? Because once you see it, you can never unsee it. And once you master it, you'll realize Machiavelli's secret was never about power over others. It was about never letting anyone hold power over you. Now, let's go deeper. The problem with emotions isn't that they exist. It's that you've been taught to misunderstand them. From childhood, you were conditioned to treat your emotional reactions as truth. If you felt offended, then the other person was wrong. If you felt afraid, then the danger must be real. If you felt love, then the other person must be worthy of trust. But here's the inconvenient reality. Emotions are signals, not commands. Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." What he meant is this: if you never examine where your emotions come from, you will be ruled by forces you don't even see. And those forces are everywhere. Think about the last time you got angry. Did that anger arise from an objective truth? Or because someone threatened your ego? Was it really about what was said, or about the meaning you attached to it? Here's the uncomfortable answer. Most of what you feel is not a direct reaction to reality. It's a reaction to the story you're telling yourself about reality. Nietzsche warned that man is not destroyed by truth, but by his inability to face it without the protective filter of illusions. We cling to emotions because they make the world feel familiar. We think, if I feel it, it must be real. But that's not how reality works. Your emotions are shaped by four invisible architects. Biology. Millions of years of evolution wired you for survival, not happiness. Fear kept your ancestors alive, so your brain overproduces it. Jealousy ensured reproduction, so it still lingers. Anger defends territory, so it erupts easily. You were born with a chemistry that assumes every shadow might be a predator. Social conditioning. From birth, culture tells you how to feel and when to feel it. You're taught to take pride in certain things and shame in others, not because it's objectively right, but because it maintains the social order. Aldous Huxley saw this clearly. The propagandist's purpose is to make one set of people forget that certain other sets of people are human. Emotional conditioning is the fastest way to divide, control, and pacify a population. Personal trauma. Every wound you've suffered created emotional reflexes. Someone betrays you at 16, and now you distrust kindness at 30. You lose once, and you're terrified of risking again. These scars become filters. You no longer see the world as it is. You see it through the lens of your past. Manipulators. Some understand these mechanics better than you. Machiavelli knew that to control the masses, you didn't need chains. You just needed to master their hopes and fears. In modern times, this is amplified by marketing, media, and political rhetoric. They don't sell you products, they sell you emotional states. The relief of safety, the thrill of status, the comfort of belonging. And here's the paradox. Most people defend their emotional vulnerability. They'll say, "But that's just who I am. I'm an emotional person." They confuse being emotionally raw with being authentic, never realizing that rawness often means untrained. Arthur Schopenhauer compared human nature to a porcupine's dilemma. We need closeness for warmth, but too much closeness means we prick each other with our quills. Emotions are the quills. They protect, but they also harm. And when you don't know how to control them, you either hurt others or get hurt yourself. But why is this such a hidden problem? Because the world profits from you not seeing it. Imagine a man in chains. If he knows he's chained, he can start thinking about how to break free. But if he doesn't even realize the chains are there, he'll never resist. Emotional manipulation works the same way. The most effective control is the kind you don't notice. Consider the outrage economy. News channels, social media platforms, even influencers, they survive on engagement. And engagement thrives on emotion. Outrage keeps you scrolling. Envy keeps you buying. Fear keeps you compliant. If they can keep you reactive, they can keep you hooked. And then there's the philosophical weight of all this. Jean-Paul Sartre argued that freedom is terrifying. If you accept that you alone are responsible for your life, then you must also accept that no one else is to blame for your emotional state. It's easier, more comfortable, to believe that other people make you feel a certain way. That way, you can keep your victimhood as a shield against responsibility. Viktor Frankl, who endured the horrors of a concentration camp, discovered the opposite. Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. And that's where the trap lies. The hidden problem isn't just that you are emotionally reactive, It's that you've been taught to believe that reactivity is natural, unavoidable, and even virtuous. You've been told you can't control how you feel, but you can. You've been told it's good to express every emotion you have, but not all emotions serve you. You've been told your feelings are who you are, but they are only passing states, clouds across the sky of your mind. This is where Machiavelli's quiet genius emerges. He understood that in a world where most people are slaves to their feelings, the one who can master his emotions is untouchable. Not because he lacks humanity, but because he refuses to be a prisoner of it. If you begin to see emotions as tools rather than masters, you shift from being manipulated to being in control. You stop reacting and start choosing. But this understanding is not enough. You must also see what happens if you don't change. Because there are consequences, and they are deeper than you think. If you remain emotionally reactive, you are not just vulnerable, you are predictable. And predictability is the death of power. Imagine sitting across from someone in a negotiation. They know that when your pride is challenged, you flare up. They know that when you feel ignored, you start over-explaining yourself. They know that when they withdraw affection, you become desperate for validation. They can walk you into a trap without ever lifting a weapon because they have already mapped the battlefield of your mind. This is the first unseen consequence of emotional weakness. Your enemies don't need to attack you. They just need to press the right buttons. It happens in business, where a competitor can bait you into a bad deal by appealing to your ego. It happens in relationships, where someone keeps you hooked by alternating warmth and coldness, making you chase them endlessly. It happens in politics, where leaders keep citizens obedient through cycles of fear and relief. You don't even notice it happening because when you're inside an emotion, you mistake it for reality. You're too busy defending yourself to see that you've been maneuvered into the exact position they wanted you in. The second consequence is more insidious. You become easy to divide and control. History is full of this tactic. Empires have fallen not because their enemies were stronger, but because their people were turned against each other. How? By stoking emotions, envy, resentment, moral outrage, until the group could no longer see the real threat. Social media has weaponized this ancient tactic to perfection. Algorithms learn your emotional triggers faster than you learn your own. They feed you content that keeps you in a constant state of reaction, furious at strangers, envious of lifestyles, afraid of changes. And while you're burning emotional energy on these manufactured battles, the real structures of power remain untouched. It's not just about manipulation, it's about distraction. An emotionally reactive mind is too busy feeling to be strategic. And if you're not thinking strategically, you're not thinking like someone in control. The third consequence is personal, and it's devastating. Reactivity robs you of peace. Think about the last time you couldn't sleep because of something someone said. The last time you replayed an argument in your head, imagining what you should have said. The last time you stalked someone's social media, letting their curated images dictate your mood. Do you realize what's happening in those moments? You're handing over your most precious resource, your attention, to someone else. You're letting them live rent-free, be in your mind. And here's the cruel irony. Most of the people you're upset about aren't even thinking about you. They've moved on. You're the only one still bleeding from the wound because you haven't learned how to stop reopening it. The fourth consequence is identity erosion. When you constantly react to external triggers, your sense of self becomes unstable. You start defining yourself based on what happens to you rather than who you decide to be. Your mood dictates your morals. Your relationships dictate your worth. Your circumstances dictate your courage. This makes it easy to rewrite. A manipulator can redefine your identity simply by changing the emotional environment you live in. Praise you enough, and you'll start seeing yourself as competent. Criticize you enough, and you'll start believing you're worthless. This isn't just influence, it's identity theft on a psychological level. But perhaps the most dangerous consequence of all is this: you become predictable to yourself. Why is that dangerous? Because it means you will keep making the same mistakes. If you always respond to criticism with defensiveness, you'll never hear the truth you need to grow. If you always respond to fear by retreating, you'll never seize opportunities that could change your life. If you always respond to rejection with self-doubt, you'll never build the resilience needed to endure in the long term. This is how lives become stagnant. People don't fail because of one catastrophic event. They fail because they keep running the same emotional program for years, even decades, without ever realizing they can rewrite it. And here's where the trap snaps shut. Emotional reactivity feels right. It feels natural to get angry when you're insulted. It feels authentic to cry when you're heartbroken. It feels honest to panic when something goes wrong. But feeling right is not the same as being right. If your goal is survival, raw emotion will do the job. If your goal is victory, raw emotion will betray you. Machiavelli understood that the strongest leaders were not those without feelings, but those who could use their feelings at will, deploying them like weapons, not wearing them like open wounds. This is why he advised rulers to appear compassionate but remain calculating, to appear approachable but remain watchful. The performance of emotion could inspire loyalty and fear at the same time, but the loss of emotional control could destroy everything. So the question is no longer, do I want to control my emotions? The real question is, am I willing to face the discomfort of retraining my mind so I can stop being predictable? Because make no mistake, emotional untouchability is not built in comfort. It is forged in moments when your instincts scream at you to react, but you choose to remain still. It is forged in silence when you want to speak, in patience when you want to lash out, in calculated delay when you want instant resolution. The consequence of avoiding this discipline is clear. You will be used, you will be baited, you will be distracted, you will be drained, and worst of all, you'll think it was all your choice. But if you do choose to change, if you learn to master the pause, to delay reaction, to see the battlefield before making a move, then something extraordinary happens. Your enemies can no longer read you. Your competitors can no longer trap you. Your manipulators can no longer control you. You become, in the truest sense of the word, untouchable. And that's when you're ready for the next step. Not just defending yourself, but flipping the game entirely. Breaking free begins with a single, brutal truth. You cannot master your emotions if you refuse to face them. Most people avoid looking at their emotions because it's uncomfortable. They'd rather distract themselves than dissect themselves. But Machiavelli would tell you, avoidance is weakness, and weakness is the crack where manipulation seeps in. The rebellion starts with awareness. Not vague awareness, but surgical precision. Step 1. Master the pause. When someone provokes you, your instinct is to respond instantly. That's your primitive brain speaking, the same brain that reacted to predators in the wild without thinking. But in the modern world, speed kills strategy. Machiavelli's defense begins with hesitation. Not indecision, but deliberate delay. The pause allows emotion to settle just enough for your rational mind to regain control. Try it. The next time you feel insulted, don't respond for 24 hours. Watch how the fire in your chest fades. Watch how the insult loses its poison when you stop feeding it your attention. The pause is not weakness, it's the highest form of strength. Anyone can react. Few can wait. Step 2. Learn emotional alchemy. You cannot simply turn off emotions. That's not mastery, that's suppression. And suppression always leaks. What you can do is transmute them. Fear can become caution. Anger can become fuel. Sadness can become a focus. The key is to see emotions as raw energy, neutral until you decide how to channel it. Viktor Frankl survived hell on earth by turning suffering into meaning. You can survive insult, betrayal, and loss by turning pain into purpose. Ask yourself in moments of heat, how can I use this? Instead of, why is this happening to me? Step 3. Control the frame. Manipulation works because someone else controls the frame of the situation. They make you see it through their lens. Break the frame and you break their influence. If someone insults you publicly, the frame is, you're under attack. Change it to, you are the one in control. Smile. Deflect. Make it clear the blow didn't land. If fear grips you before a big decision, the frame is, this is dangerous. Change it to, this is an opportunity few are brave enough to take. Machiavelli's princes didn't just control armies, they controlled narratives. The narrative in your mind is the first battlefield. Step 4. Build the fortress of self. An emotionally untouchable man has an inner fortress. This fortress is built on clarity. Clarity of values, of purpose, of identity. If you know exactly who you are and what you stand for, the world's emotional storms cannot sweep you away. Most people crumble because they anchor their identity in things they don't control: status, approval, relationships. The fortress is built on what cannot be taken from you: your principles, your skills, your chosen code. Write your code. Live by it without compromise. And when the world tries to bait you, you will measure every decision against that code, not against the heat of the moment. Seek discomfort intentionally. Let someone try to provoke you and stay silent. Face rejection without retreating into self-pity. Endure boredom without reaching for distraction. These small battles sharpen your control, so when the big moments come, you are unshakable. You cannot become untouchable in comfort. You must put yourself in controlled situations that test your composure. This is why warriors train in simulated battle, why negotiators role-play, why Stoics practice imagining worst-case scenarios. If you never rehearse under stress, you will fail in the real moment. Seek discomfort intentionally. Let someone try to provoke you and stay silent. Face rejection without retreating into self-pity. Endure boredom without reaching for distraction. These small battles sharpen your control, so when the big moments come, you are unshakable. Step 6. Learn the silence game. Silence is not emptiness, it's a weapon. In a world addicted to noise, silence unnerves people. It makes them fill the gap with their insecurity. In negotiation, silence forces the other side to reveal more than they intended. In conflict, silence can make your opponent overplay their hand. In emotional warfare, silence is the refusal to give your enemy the reaction they crave. Machiavelli's secret defense was never brute force. It was patience. The man who can wait longer than his opponent will always win. Step 7. Cultivate emotional disguise. Sometimes you must hide your true feelings in plain sight, not as deceit, but as strategic protection. Machiavelli advised rulers to appear merciful, faithful, humane, even when they were calculating their next move. You can be boiling with anger and still wear a smile. You can be disappointed and still show encouragement. You can be uncertain and still project confidence. This does not mean you become fake. It means you control which parts of your emotions you choose to reveal. You show the world only what strengthens your position. The rebellion against emotional manipulation is not loud. It does not announce itself. It is fought in the stillness between provocation and response. It is fought in the quiet rewriting of your inner dialogue. It is fought in the refusal to be predictable. Once you adopt these principles, you will notice the shift. People stop trying to provoke you because they realize it doesn't work. Manipulators lose interest because you are no longer an easy target. You start choosing your moves instead of being pushed into them. And then you will see what Machiavelli saw centuries ago. The world is divided into those who control their emotions and those who are controlled through their emotions. Choose the first group and you become rare. Choose the second and you remain prey. But there is still one more level, because even when you've built your fortress, mastered the pause, and turned your emotions into weapons, there is a final truth, deeper than all the others. A truth that, once seen, changes not only how you defend yourself, but how you live entirely. Here is the truth most will never grasp. Emotional untouchability is not about building walls. It is about dissolving the hooks that make walls necessary. The highest level of mastery is not to defend yourself from manipulation. It is to reach a place where manipulation cannot even find you. At first, this sounds impossible. How can anyone live without ever being emotionally triggered? The answer is not numbness, it is transcendence. The shift from control to freedom. In the earlier stages, you focus on control. You hold back words you want to spit out. You pause when anger flares. You disguise your disappointment. This is strength, yes, but it is also effort. You are still wrestling with the emotions, still in the ring with them. The final stage is when the fight stops, not because you gave up, but because you realize there was no opponent. You see the insult, and it no longer registers as something that can touch you. You see the attempt at manipulation, and it feels almost childish. You see the bait, and you don't even feel tempted to bite. It's not that you're suppressing anger, you simply don't generate it in the first place. Understanding the illusion of control. Here's the paradox. You will never be untouchable as long as you think you need control. Control assumes threat. Control assumes something out there has the power to destabilize you. Machiavelli understood this. True power is when you no longer fear the storm because you are the storm. The final realization is this. Emotions are not who you are. They are weather passing through the landscape of your mind. If you identify with the weather, every storm feels like the end of the world. If you identify with the landscape, storms are just temporary changes in the scenery. The death of the ego trap. Nearly all emotional suffering comes from ego, this fragile idea of me that must be defended, validated, admired, or avenged. You're insulted? That's your ego demanding respect. You're jealous? That's your ego fearing it's being outshone. You're resentful? That's your ego keeping score of imagined debts. Machiavelli's greatest rulers were dangerous not because they fed their egos, but because they used them strategically, turning pride on and off like a weapon, never letting it run the show. The moment you stop clinging to ego, most provocations lose their teeth. The game others play, status games, dominance games, validation games, simply ceases to matter. Freedom through perspective. Aldous Huxley once said, "Experience is not what happens to a man, it is what a man does with what happens to him." At the highest level of emotional mastery, perspective becomes your shield. Every event, betrayal, insult, loss, becomes raw material for growth. There is no failure, only feedback. No rejection, only redirection. And here's the beautiful irony. When nothing can truly offend you, people sense it and it terrifies them. Not because you're aggressive, but because you're unpredictable. They cannot push you into anger, shame, or desperation. You have stepped outside the emotional economy they use to control others. The quiet power of indifference. There is a form of power more dangerous than rage, more commanding than charm. Indifference to anything that does not align with your purpose. This is not apathy, it's ruthless selectivity. You still feel deeply, but only for what you choose. Everything else is noise. When someone tries to provoke you and you respond with nothing, not coldness, not a smile, not even acknowledgement, you rob them of their script. They are actors waiting for your line so the play can continue, and you've left the stage entirely. That is when you know you are free. The final liberation. At this level, Machiavelli's secret defense becomes clear. At the first stage, you react. At the second stage, you control your reaction. At the final stage, there is no reaction to control. Life becomes quieter. Not dull, quiet. You still act boldly, love deeply, and pursue fiercely, but you no longer carry the constant background noise of emotional reactivity. You can walk into chaos and feel the same inside as you do in solitude. This is what warriors call the still point. The world can burn around you, and you will decide, without panic, whether to walk away or rebuild it. The iron law of emotional power. There is an iron law that every manipulator, ruler, strategist, and conqueror knows. The one who controls the emotional tone controls the outcome. Most people let the outside world set their emotional tone, which means they've already lost before they even make a move. But when you set your tone, when you are the one who decides when to feel urgency, when to feel calm, when to feel nothing, you become the gravitational center in every room. Others adjust to you, and in that moment you are no longer just untouchable, you are unshakable. The poetic endgame. Imagine yourself years from now. Someone comes to you with venom in their words. You hear them, you understand them, but you feel no pull toward anger. You simply choose the path that serves your goal. Imagine facing betrayal. You acknowledge the wound, but you don't bleed. You adjust, you maneuver. You move forward without bitterness. Imagine walking through life knowing that no matter what anyone says, does, or thinks, you remain the master of your inner state. That is the life Machiavelli's secret defense was meant to create. Not a cold, loveless existence, but a life lived entirely on your terms. In a world where everyone is drowning in their reactions, you will be the one standing on the shore, calm, watchful, untouchable. And when they ask how you do it, you'll simply smile and say, "Because I am no longer playing the game they want me to play."